All right, that classic sports car that you've always wanted, can you just not afford it anymore? Are the prices going up too much, or are the prices about to collapse and now's the time to get one? Buy the dip. Oh, wait, the market went way up. But tomorrow's going to go way down. Who can keep up with all this stuff? This is Bid Nerds. We're going to talk about all that. We're going to make some predictions. The bidding starts now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube car game show. I don't know. Is it a game show anymore? It seems like things are getting really serious out there. People are freaking the F out. Oh, the world is collapsing. Wait, no, the market's taking off. No, so that means it's collapsing. Oh, no, nobody can keep track. We're having a lot of fun. We love classic cars, and whether or not the market goes up or down, that's the great thing about classic cars is that you can't drive your stock portfolio. You can't get into your convertible Bitcoin. That's no fun. You can go get into your 911. Maybe the value is going up or the value is going down, but you can drop the top with your best girl and have a great time. That's our advice. That's it. Show's over. All right, boom, done. That was the easiest one we've ever done. My name is John Polnick. I'm your host for Bid Nerds for the next hour here, coming to you live from the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas, as well as my partner right over there, Michael Deeb. He's right next to me, sitting right next to me in San Francisco, so only about 1,000 miles apart. No big deal. How you doing, Michael Deeb? What's up?
Overreact much? I mean, 2 days ago, the sky was falling. Don't move. Hold your breath. We're going to try to bear it. And then today it was like best recovery ever. So man, oh man, do I feel like a yo-yo? What is going on?
Don't blink, basically, is what's happening right now. Here's the big takeaway from the predictions that we made on the last episode. And for those of you who are new to the show, what we do here on the Bid Nerds is we find the most interesting cars from all the automotive enthusiast auction sites, mostly Bring a Trailer, but sometimes Cars and Bids, Peak Car Market. We analyze the most interesting listings, and then we make predictions. What do we think will happen at the end of those auctions? We'll give you our numbers, and you can play along, see if you're better at it than we are, a panel of experts or something like that, right? But here's the thing. It pays to be a friend of Bid Nerds. It pays to know one of us. If you are one of our friends, chances are your car is going to sell. If you're not, the evidence proves that you probably won't sell your car. Take a look at the results from last episode. We're going to get to those in just a second. Shout out to our good friends at Godden Classic and Porsche Henderson. We love those guys. They support the show, so please reach out to them and say you heard about them.
Congratulations to everyone that's involved with next week's grand opening at the New Point in Henderson. JP, you've been by there. I have not. A Gen 5 store in Clark County. And of course, the Godden family are the ones to do it. They do it better than anybody else. That's why they were awarded a second point in Clark County, which is a real massive coup, if I can say that on the air. But there you go. So next week on Thursday, JP, right before Easter weekend, they're having their grand opening. I'm trying to get my butt out to town, and I already did a +1 so Sahan and I can attend. It'll be kind of a fun night there. So there you go.
Big festivities going on here in Vegas next week. All right, let's get to the show. Let's get to the program. We are going to make some predictions, but first we're going to go over the predictions from the last episode, see how we did. What's the first car on the list, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP. Oh, man. I know, like in hand grenades and I don't know, whatever the other sport is, almost doesn't count.
Or something,
almost,
right?
Yeah, we almost had Jim on the show to advocate for this great sale he made on his 2011 Porsche 911 Carrera GTS. Jim, I'm still waiting to meet you, but congrats on the sale. Spoiler alert: this GTS 6-speed coupe that was listed out of Bend, Oregon, is JP's friend's car. 99 miles on the odometer, but man, look at the appointments, JP. Little body kit and some touches with the wheels. 997.2 fixed back racing seats with a beautiful like custom patina inserts and the Fuchs style wheels. This car's got a lot of eyeball and a lot of performance to match. As we know, JP, in this era, Porsche was not producing a lot of 911s. The global recession had quelled demand. Porsche's production numbers plummeted, thus finding manual rear drive 911s of any specification from this era is a cause to celebrate. And oh, by the way, these are some of the last great analog cars Porsche ever constructed, because the next generation, which was a much more big, much larger, much heavier, much more watered down all-around vehicle than the real driver-focused, say, specification like a manual GTS rear-wheel drive coupe. So Jim was justified in putting money and hours and sweat into this car. And we'll tell you why here in just a second. According to our friends at classic.com, the average selling price of a 997.2 GTS rear-wheel drive coupe with a manual is over $100,000, $103,500. Our car had 99,000 miles, but I thought it would still do well. I thought the custom appointments might get a couple of people tempted to fight over it. So I went high. I went all in on the 3-pedal posse vibe. My bid was $112,997. JP took a much more realistic approach. His argument was you cannot overcome that odometer. So JP's bid was just $89,997. And then we had Ali Khalil from Doty's, what is Doty's place
Auto
called?
Sales.
Doty's Auto Sales in Monterey, California. Ollie was a great sport, came on the show and was a first-time third nerd. Ollie liked the car and bought in and bid over JP at $95,000. John, our car did very well. In fact, it sold for $79,000 on 25 bids. JP, we were hoping to have Jim on, but he's not here. I'm assuming you had some sort of communication with him. Is he happy? Is he pleased with that number? What can you tell us post-Hammer?
Yeah, I think he is. I haven't heard really, I was looking forward to asking him on the show, like you said, but, he's got to be happy because I'll be honest with you. My bid was higher than I really thought this car was worth. I was hoping for my friend that he would do well with the car. I didn't want to bid too low and potentially stymie it. But the number that I threw out there, I just didn't think it would even reach really that number. This number I'm very impressed with for a modern Porsche with this many miles. It's very difficult to get the money for. Once a modern Porsche gets in that 60,000 mile range and up, the values just absolutely plummet. And even though this is a spectacular version of this car and it's very sought after, I mean, when you really start thinking about it, it's like, dude, I mean, for $100,000, you could get a GT3 997.2 with this many miles. I mean, that many miles is just too many miles. So somebody got a cool car, and I'm sure the maintenance is up to date and stuff like that. But just, I think, it's just not as clean as it's a used car. It's a great all-around sports car. This would be a fantastic 911 to drive and own and love and look at. But, I mean, to expect to be able to get any value out of this car later, I mean, if this person who bought it, now they're going to go drive it around, they're going to put 20,000 miles on it, over the next 2-3 years, what's 120,000 mile 997 going to bring? I mean,
right.
50, on a good day, you start getting in that $100,000 range. I mean, you could get a 991.2 T with a manual for around $100,000. I mean, they're typically between $100,000 and $110,000. And as much as I love the 997 platform and that it's smaller and it's analog, blah, 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 I mean, come on, a 991.2 T, that's a better car in almost every way, and will hold its value, and will have no miles at that number.
Let's play a game real quick, JP, because you and I debate back and forth all the time about mods and no mods. Looking at the odometer, which we cannot change, GTS, manual, two-wheel drive, coupe. Would this car, in your opinion, have fetched more money if it were bone stock versus all the customization and modifications that are on this car? We got $79,000. You say very candidly that you're impressed with that result because the odometer is so difficult to get around. Do you think that any amount of money may have been left on the table if the car had simply been left alone?
Absolutely not. This is one of those things, right? This is where you've got these weird ratios, the higher the miles, the more mods it can have. The lower the miles, the fewer mods it can have. Right?
Yeah,
if you've got a high mileage car like this, you need to overcome that mileage by getting someone going, oh, okay, well, I could deal with those miles because if I bought a stock one, I would put those wheels. That's going to save me $4,000. I don't have to buy those. I don't have to buy that ground effects kit. I don't have to buy the seats. I mean, the seats alone are worth $15,000, guys. That is
totally.
one. I mean, that you can pull the seats out of this thing, and that really tells you what the true value of this car is because most of the GTSs didn't have those seats. I don't even did we confirm whether that these weren't in this car? car, right? So this car
No.
had probably the regular sport seats. So if this car got, let's call it 80 just to make the math easier, pull the $15,000 seats out, what does that leave you? That's 65 grand. That's what a GTS with 99,000 miles is worth. So absolutely the mods brought more money. Absolutely the mods got more attention on this car, got more eyeballs on the car. The question really is, did he recoup the money that he spent on those mods? And I'm sure the answer is hell no. I mean, because those seats were 15 grand. I mean, but I can't imagine that he had any expectation to really get much higher than that. It's a used 997 with 100,000 miles on it. Brian's asking, is it practical to rebuild the engine in this car, if it were to fail? That's a very good question. And the answer is, I mean, you're probably looking at 40 grand. I mean, so, and if you have this car, 99,000 miles on it, let's say you have some bore scoring issues here when it gets to $120, which is entirely possible. Or it could be tomorrow, the next 5 miles you put on this thing, right? That's something that you've got to worry about in all 997s. So, okay, you lose a GTS engine in a .2. You're looking at $35,000, $40,000 and a hell of a wait to get it done.
Oh my God.
At that point, then if you're going to put that money into the car, you're pot committed, because you'll never get that money out. That money that you put in is not going to raise the value of the car by $40,000. In fact, it might raise the value of the car maybe $5,000 or $10,000. But really, the only reason you pull that trigger is because you're like, all right, this is my car for the next 10 years. I'm getting the value out of this, because it won't pencil out. Unlike the air-cooled cars, if you had a 200,000 mile 993 and a 200,000 mile 993, and that engine goes and it costs you $40,000, you'll recoup 25,000 of that, maybe even more on the back end if you went to sell that car, even if it's got a couple 100,000 miles on it. People are like, engine recently rebuilt. Here's all the receipts and it was done. That car's worth more money now because of that. 997s, none of the modern cars. They just don't. It just doesn't work that way. It's very odd that that's the case, because this car would be fantastic if you had a new engine in it. But I'm guessing it's not going to need one for some time. I still think this is a great car, but that's why it only got to $80,000, which is pretty damn good for a 100,000 mile car. What do you guys think of the 997 and the GTS bringing $80,000? Is that all the money in the world for a car of that kind of miles, or should it have brought more, like my partner and Ali thought? Let us know in the comments, and make sure you hit the thumbs up and like and notification button really quick, guys. That really helps us out, especially when we're live like we are right now. That brings more people into the nerd herd. Okay, let's move on. What's the next car?
All right, JP. We took a look. We're going to circle back to the Safari style 1988 Porsche 911 Carrera Coupe. This is, of course, a G50 transmission car. The car had been repainted and treated to the Safari suspension kit and a few little accessories to round it out with the bumpers and the roof rack and a few other little appointments. JP, it's still basically a stock 3.2 with a chip and some, exhaust pieces. It's a limited slip differential car. But the big news here, JP, is that somebody donated a 52,000 original mile 3.2 G50 Carrera for this build, which is kind of a head scratcher, because this car left alone would be well over six figures. I mean, this would be, somewhere between $100,000 and $120,000 car retail. Then somebody goes and spends all this money on modifications. JP, correct me if I'm wrong, but including the paint job, we're talking 25, 30 grand here in modifications. And then they bring it to market out of Sisters, Oregon on Bring a Trailer. And we wondered how this very interesting car would be received by the market. Safaris were hot when COVID was going crazy and people were looking for recreational vehicles, which is sort of how I would categorize your Safari build. But I wonder, JP, if those days are over. Are Safaris still as hot as they once were? That's the question I think we set out to answer as we took a deep dive on this car. So, John, without further ado, the average selling price for an 88 911 Coupe would be $95,600, and that's with all the odometers. I will still stress that a 50,000 mile car would easily surpass six figures. This car, JP, I didn't think would do much better than that. I just don't know why, but I don't feel like the Safaris are as hot, or that this car's fit and finish, especially on the inside, matches its attraction on the outside. So, JP, my bid was tempered at $95,000. You took the under beneath me. Your bid, $89,911. And we had Ollie Khalil from Doty's Auto Sales in Monterey. He was our third nerd. Great sport. Great to have Ollie on. Ollie's bid split the difference with us, JP. He was at 90 grand. John, without further ado, our car hammered for just 80 grand, where it failed to sell on 41 bids. So do we think, and we have to ask this question, it's going to get really boring really fast for this week, is that a reflection of the market, or is that the Safaris are dead, or Safaris are hot, but this guy should have spent another 10 grand on the interior to get some seats and I don't know, a few other things. Like, what, you know these cars really well. What's your first reaction to $80,000? Like, I'm not surprised it didn't sell. The guy might have wanted 150 for it, so at 130 it wouldn't have sold. But at 80 grand, I feel like the audience was going like, yeah, no. And again, what do you think the motivation in the audience? I mean, 41 bids and yet $80,000 in the pot. That's a strong no, right?
Yeah. Shout out to Kevin Bodman. Yahtzee alert.
What?
Yahtzee alert.
Kevin!
Yahtzee alert. Way to go.
Oh,
we need
man.
a little.
Let
We
the
need
other-
a thing for.
Let the other kids win, Kevin. Jesus
Man,
Christ.
gosh, good job, Kevin.
Wow.
Yeah. So look, these cars. I do think that they're definitely cool enough when it comes. Safari builds are just not the hot thing right now, but I don't think that was the problem with this particular car. This is a very good Safari. You mentioned the fit and finish of the interior. I think that's probably not the right wording. I don't know if it's exactly what you meant. Fit and finish implies that the interior is not in good condition, but I think what you're talking about is style. It doesn't kind of live up to the exterior. Is that fair to say, Deeb? Yeah.
Yeah, you read it right.
Okay, yeah, because it did seem a little lackluster on the interior. But look, I think what's going on right now is that for the foreseeable future, we're going to be playing a game of who's holding the hot potato, right? This car closed on Monday, and going through the weekend, last Friday at the time when we're doing the show, I don't know what the date was, but the Friday before this show, this is being recorded on a Wednesday. There was a 2,000 point drop in the stock market, right? So everyone over the weekend was going, oh my gosh, Monday is going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be even worse. Everyone was predicting Black Monday, right? So here you go into Monday, and who's going to buy a $100,000 car on the day when everybody thinks the world is about to end financially? And I think that probably hurt everyone on Monday, because here it is Wednesday and the stock market went up almost 3,000 points today. Now, I'm not going to make an argument that that's good, bad, or otherwise, whatever. We're not going to have the stock market discussion here, but the point is that people's emotions are getting bounced around all over the place. So on any given day, when it comes to the end of an auction, that specific day could be the end of the world, and the next day could be the second coming. I mean, we just don't know. Which is why I know my partner likes to advise sellers to, always to get the most money. You're probably better off going no reserve. But the way the market is right now, the way things are so crazy, I wouldn't recommend anyone go no reserve. But that's a difference that I have between my partner and I. And we, by the way, this is the first official announcement, but Bid Nerds is now in the business of selling your car. That's right. If you have a classic car, doesn't have to be a Porsche, it could be any car that is appropriate for Bring a Trailer, you can give us a call. You can DM us on the socials, that's on Instagram, or DM us here on YouTube, and we will connect with you and we will help you get your car sold on one of the auction platforms. We'll help you with all the assets. That's photos and video and copy, by the way. A lot of people have been arguing with us in the comments on what assets are, but that's it. We've been doing that. We've been watching the auctions for years now. We may as well get in the business and put our money where our mouth is. There it is. What you got there, Deep?
$2 bill, baby. The two of us will get you all the money for your car. Just call us. We got you.
That's right. Okay, that was a little shameless plug, and we're gonna have a commercial for that soon. But
plenty more of those where that come from.
Yeah, this Safari. Let us know what you guys think. Do you think that the Safari deal is just done? I definitely agree with you, Deeb, that this is definitely a car that would have brought more money if it were stock. Unlike the 997 with high miles that we were just talking about, here's a low mileage, unicorn G50 cars. Everybody wants a G50 car, and so to hack it up, and I mean, it's got to be a fantastic driver though. If you did want a Safari,
oh my god,
before we move on from this car, I should mention too that it appears that there was a deal made after the sale, and there was some chatter between the would-be buyer. So the highest bidder got a chance to buy the car later, and then he was communicating with the owner. And according to, there's very little information. It was just in the chat. Apparently the seller and the buyer, they wanted to change the number in their system, their after sale system. And apparently BAT doesn't accommodate that. So I'm very curious how that ultimately worked out. Did that mean that the guy offered a low number and the buyer was like, no, I'm not taking that? So then the guy reached out and they talked and he agreed to maybe do even more, but the system doesn't allow another bid on top of that. And the really funny thing about the buyer and his comments as the auction was going along, the high bidder also, he kept mentioning, I really hate this. There should be a max bid buttons to prevent people from sniping at the end. And sniping is a term that came from eBay, where people would wait to the last second and put a bid in, that high bid that wouldn't allow anyone enough time to get a higher bid. I think that's this guy's got to be a boomer, because that's the whole point of adding another couple minutes, is to let more people in there, to just say max bid and walk away and hope that's stupid. That's dumb. Yeah. Then that's the whole drama of an auction. It goes away. What do you guys think? Should there be a max bid button on BAT? Do you think that would help results or hurt? Let us know in the comments below. And Peter George says, nice transition for you guys. Great for the herd. Congrats. So that means, let's hear Mike. LeBlanc said, will you be supporting sales on PCAR Market and Cars and Bids? Very good question there, LeBlanc. I mean, the answer is maybe.
Let's turn that around. You think PCAR Market will let us sell cars on their platform? Hopefully the new regime that we are getting several reports that PCAR Market is changed hands. Hopefully the new regime will give us a clean slate. And of course, we'll afford them every opportunity to do even remotely better than the last regime. So we're very excited. Well, JP, we definitely have to reach out to them and invite the new guys on to tell our audience all about themselves. Which would be really cool.
As of right now, the Bid Nerds account is definitely flagged, because I've commented on there many times recently, and they're always positive comments. By the way, I'm always like really, really nice, because I know they're paying attention, right? Nothing I posted. I'm sure they would accept a bid and take my deposit, though. All right, let's move on. What's the next car on the list, Steve? What do we got?
And anything to get your account number, JP. You know what I mean? All right, JP, let's talk about
screen TV in Oyster Bay. What?
Best Buy in Oyster Bay for $3,000. All right. On Cars and Bids, JP, we're going to return to the 2012 Mercedes-Benz E63 AMG sedan. Here's a little bittersweet comment, JP. We covered this car, and what a car it is. A performance package edition car with just 54,000 miles out of Ogden, Utah. JP, you and I oftentimes criticize cell phone photos in a driveway in somebody's house. But I will say, for Cars and Bids, this little asset bucket is not the worst I've seen, which is okay. Very clean car. It's very nicely equipped, as it's not a standard E63, but the P30, I think it's called the P30 Performance Package, which raises power and removes the rev limiter, makes this kind of one of the more desirable models in the secondary market, if you could say such a thing. We're talking about a $110,000 car that only has 50,000 miles on it, is about 7 years old, and isn't even worth like 40% of its original value, which is crazy. JP, without further ado, we checked in with our friends at classic.com. They said the average selling price for an E63 from 2018 is only $28,000. I thought our car would do at least that well. We're pretty close. I gave you the bid of $25,063. You came in underneath us at $22,000. And JP, our car did better than that. It hammered for $28,000 where it failed to sell on 40 bids. But the high bidder, this is the Bid Nerds Mojo, the high bidder is a friend, colleague, and client of Chris Carbine of Carbine Motorcorps. And the guy's name is Pete. He was the high bidder. Pete was given an opportunity to meet the seller out of Ogden, Utah. Find out that I think he's the second owner and he's owned it for a number of years and all the services are up to date and there's no paint work and this, that, and the other. And if I may, I think they cracked out a deal at $29,500 for this E63 with 50,000 miles on a performance package. John, I'm going to go ahead and say that's not only well bought, but Chris Carbine is a guardian angel, and the Bid Nerds Mojo did its thing because we covered the car. There is a person in the Bid Nerds universe, and I think Pete is watching tonight. Congratulations, Pete, on the car. I hope it's as clean as it appears in the photos. It sounds like you had a nice conversation with the guy because you went ahead and made a deal on the car, and we want to congratulate you. But there you go, JP. Bid Nerds selling cars, and we didn't even have to hold the title on this one. There you go. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad a Nerd Herd member got the car. And if you are, Pete, if you're watching, say hello in the Nerd Herd over there in the chat. Looks like some people were saying congrats to him for the car. Look, this car, the performance is off the chart. I think that Pete got a great deal if you're into this look. I cannot get by just how ugly I think this car is. I'm sorry, Pete. You're a nerd, you know, but it looks good on you, though. You know,
Pete. I picked the car, Pete. I think it's beautiful. It's okay. JP would love this car if it had a manual, but since it doesn't, he thinks the whole thing is ugly.
Now, look, here's the thing. I would love to drive this car because when you drive a car, you don't have to look at it, right? I mean, it's just like the design sensibilities. I just yearn for the days of when Mercedes would just like, okay, this is the car. E-Series is going to look like this for a decade or more, right? Nowadays, it's just all the whiz-bang lines and swoops and curves and, you know, and those just horrible headlights and stuff. Again, this is me. I don't like it, but that doesn't mean someone else won't. And I think I'm in the minority. I think most people would see this car. I think it's a very attractive car. But gosh dang, they are terribly fun to drive with all that power. And you're getting, I mean, the fact that you can buy... Everyone's ishing all over, you know, how much, you know, EVs have depreciated. And they really, I mean, all of the non-Teslas have completely dumped. They're absolutely worthless. But, you know, there's the old Mercedes and Audis are still giving EVs a run for their money on depreciation. The only difference is that I think that even when, you know, something like this Mercedes depreciates, at least it has value in the fact that it's this super powerful, you know, gas guzzling, awesome, tire ripping monster, whereas the EVs, the batteries will eventually die and none of the electronics will ever work, and you're just have a brick that you can't use in a few years. So yeah, dig the fact that this car exists. Congrats to the buyer. Glad they're happy with it.
JP, I was just gonna say, it's like, so you get this sedan, right? And the market kind of agrees with you because this car is depreciated so tremendously, and yet it's still an incredible car. Lots of power, lots of bells and whistles. And hopefully built to a really high standard, will be a reliable car for Pete or anybody that owns it later. But isn't it funny to think, with all the bashing our country has done on wagons after all these years, that if this E63 with 50,000 miles and performance package was a wagon, or as Mercedes likes to call it, an estate, that the car would be worth literally twice as much money? Isn't that bananas? That like it's a sedan, so Pete could pick it up for less than 30. But if that was a wagon, which like used to have this massive like scarlet letter stigmatism to it, you know, it's like, holy God, it would have been a $60,000 car with those miles and that option package.
Well, yeah, so and then to your point, and to mine more particularly, if this thing were a 2012 G-Wagon G63 with this few miles, you're talking about an $80,000 car, right? Because it's a square boxy thing that looks the same as they've always looked, right? Yeah. But the same powertrain in this body, and the car is worth barely $30,000. Like,
crazy.
I mean, you know, it's like this. There's something to be said for sticking with a winning formula. And when you when these car designers are constantly like, oh, we have to make a new design language every 3 years, and every car has to conform to this new, and we're constantly making something new. So people have to, oh, the new iPhone, oh, it's got rounded edge. Oh, now it's got square edges. Oh, we don't have any ideas. Let's make the edges square again instead of round. Oh, what are your genius? Oh, keep designing stuff. It's like, no, just make it simple, make it good, and don't screw with it. Increase the performance, increase the value of, you know, maybe technology and stuff like that, but you don't need to redesign everything every couple of years. I'm so over that. But that's why we like old cars. All right, let's move on. What do you guys think of the little 63? Did Pete get a good deal? Let us know. Let's move on. What's the next car?
Increase the radius count, JP. That's
yeah,
the
right.
formula.
The designers get paid by the radius. That's what I always say.
You don't understand because you're not in the boardroom. You just don't get it, man. All right, so yeah. JP, let us check in on the 1996 OJ Mobile, this Ford Bronco XL that we found on Doug DeMiro's site. It's a 96 with a 5-speed manual, 5-liter V8, 4-wheel drive, a couple of modifications. The big thing here, it's the last year of this generation of the Bronco, and it's white. Everybody's going to look at this car and think of OJ from right around that time, like 1994, right? Our car was on a clean Georgia title out of Snellville, Georgia, showing 123,000 miles on the odometer. JP, our friends at classic.com tell us that Ford Bronco XLs, and I don't think this is manuals, just the Broncos in general, are typically $22,000 in the secondary market. This car was at a really low number, and I kind of wonder if it was misplaced on Doug DeMiro's site. Could this car with better assets and a detail have fetched considerably more money had it wound up on Bring a Trailer? So I thought the car was only going to hit $14,000. JP, you took the under at just $7,000. And Ali Khalil from Doty's Auto Sales in Monterey, California. What a great sport. He was our third nerd. Doty took the over at $15,000. Doty, we just got to remind you, cars and bids, man. Whew, not the kiss of death, but boy, sure is a labor to carry that platform all the way to the sale. John, you were the closest. Oh no, I was the closest, but by like a couple $100. $10,600 was our hammer. The car failed to sell on 47 bids. So despite the platform, the bid count was high. Do you think $10,600 was a number that the seller should have accepted?
Absolutely not.
Whoa!
He should not have accepted that number. He was this is the only thing he did right in this entire auction process. His photos, the things that we always call assets, are absolutely, they're just crappy. The car is not presented well. It's an absolutely killer rig. If this thing were on Bring a Trailer, it would have brought $15,000 to $20,000. The other thing too is that this was another Monday close, so this was on the day when everyone was expecting the world to end, and I don't think people were paying attention to many of the auction sites. If they were paying attention to auction sites, it was Bring a Trailer. Cars and bids days are numbers. Cars and bids is the new P-car market. Cars and bids, Doug DeMiro. I know Doug DeMiro isn't like, you know, in charge of everything, but he's still like his sensibilities, his brand that he created has trickled into whoever's running it, and they're just effing up. This is failure on such a colossal level. Even though the assets aren't that great, this car should have brought a lot more money, and it should have closed. My number being lower than yours was not a reflection on what I think this Bronco is worth. It was 100% a referendum on the platform. I just,
all right. Well, we know, I'm going to defend Doug DeMiro for a second. We know that there's a new CEO that stepped in, I think, in December or January. That person made a lot of severe cuts to the staff. They culled the staff by, God knows, like close to 50% of the members of the staff were given their pink slips. And I understand that there's going to be some new thinking and some pivots. There's going to be some new responsibilities. Eventually there'll be some new hires. So at the moment, I think it's our perception that they're kind of floundering. This result, I think, was poor. I think when you have a car that comes in under 20 grand, I think that the auction platform should lean on the seller to trust the platform and run the car no reserve. I think if this car ran no reserve, it would have got a few more $1,000s and got
that's
close
rubbish. That's
the
rubbish.
numbers,
On
I
cars
believe
and
it.
bids, you would
Yeah.
recommend someone run
Hey,
no reserve on cars and bids?
any car under
Bro,
25, any
we're
car
going
under
into
20,
business together, and we're going to try to help
yeah.
customers sell their cars.
Yep.
And if you come to me and tell me that we should run this no reserve on cars and bids, I'm going to be like,
hold on. Hold on. This car should never have run on cars and bids, but any car that's going to run that's less than 25 grand, I think you hold on to your nutsack and you go no reserve. I think that's your best bet to get to the retail number you're praying for. And then it's up to you to take the advice of the bid nerds and make sure that your car goes to the correct platform and it shows up with the correct assets. All of that would have conspired to help him, but I don't think the platform's doing them any good. And I think right now, Cars and Bids is in flux, and I'm hoping that there'll be brighter days again, or my partner's prediction will be correct. They will be the new P car market, and we'll be laughing at them for another 4 years if they last that long. So let's see what happens.
Zach Miller agrees with you. No reserve with the right prep works.
Thank you, Zach.
I just don't think, I want to see some evidence to that. I've heard so many people say this, and I just don't think the evidence is there. I do not. I think that's just a myth. I think it's just like one of those things that people have gotten into their head, and they're like, "Oh yeah, so it must be true." I think this is the whole world. We're in a state where we need to really check these basic assumptions that we make. Oh, no reserve is always going to make more money. Show me the freaking data that proves that. And how do you quantify it, honestly?
I will. Well, I'm going to endeavor to try to select at least one car over the next few weeks that is a sub $25,000, we presume, close that is running no reserve. And we'll just sort of run those numbers against like classics numbers and see if we can learn something from that. So that's a
well,
great,
and the other thing too is it's not really it depends on the platform. Like going no reserve on cars and bids where there's no bidders is insane. I mean, that is straight stupid. Do not do that.
I don't think anybody should be selling on cars and bids anyways, but nobody asked me.
We agree with that, but then if someone does, step on a rake and put their car on cars and bids, you're going to make them go, okay, that thing, that knob that you have on your head here, turn around and step really hard because there's another rake that's going to smack you in the face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Shitty platform, and there's no one there, so I've got an idea. Go no reserve.
Yeah.
What? What do you guys think of lunacy? My partner has lost his mind. Let us know what you think. And we're coming back with predictions right after this. Don't go anywhere, guys. Hey, guys, I got to tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you got to call our friend Steve at Godden. This guy. Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair. All right, look at the time. Michael Deeb had enough time over the break to eat another retard sandwich, and he's showing his brilliant watch. That is much smarter than he is telling people to go no reserve on cars and bids. That is a smart looking watch right there, man. That's good looking. Shout out to Anthony at Our Smiths. I haven't seen him in the Nerd Herd tonight. He must be busy doing something cool.
Making new watches.
Welcome back, everyone. It is time to make some predictions. I'm excited about this first car. I really love these, especially with what I've been driving around this week. Let's get right to it. Let's make some predictions, guys. What do we got?
All right, JP. Right now, P-Car Market has a 1984 Lamborghini Yalpa, which is a super rare car from the 80s. It's out of Madill, Oklahoma, and the car is showing 55,000 kilometers. So, JP, I actually don't know a lot about this car. I mean, I know it was sort of their V8. I believe it was their first mid-engine V8 car that came to market. But as this car is listed in kilometers, I'm guessing this is a gray market car that was imported. And then it makes me I'm sort of taken aback, and I'm like, did Lamborghini ever sell the Yalpa legally in the States? Like, are there Yalpas in the States that have miles per hours on the odometers and the speedometers? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really interesting. I know they did not make a lot of these cars. This European spec 84 is one of just 410 cars produced between 1981 and 1988. So how's that for a low production number. And of the 410, JP, how many do you think people just gave up on and left them in the dirt lot behind their friendly Italian mechanic shop? Just was like, I'm not paying you $7,000 to repair the engine back in 1991, and the cars were just abandoned. I bet you there's less than half of the Yelpas, that are still, insured or titled anywhere in the world. So what we're talking about, JP, is a very pretty Bertone design. It's considered an evolution of the Silhouette, which was a Bertone, what do you call it? Car, the show car. Super beautiful car, 3.5 liter mid-engine V8 with dual overhead camshafts. It has 4 2-barrel Weber carburetors. And I imagine when those things are operational and jetted correctly, it's probably fun to drive. The rest of the time, owning this car is probably a headache, and it would be easier to carry across. You know what I'm saying? So OZ racing wheels, beautiful lines everywhere. It's funny how you and I hate modern cars for all the radiuses. Think of how many radiuses this car had in period when like 911s, the only radiuses.
Those aren't radiuses. Those are boxes. What are you talking about?
Yeah. But really neat car. I think the design has aged well. I'm sure the performance will leave you wanting for more. We're talking just 255 horsepower. But man, it just, when I look at it, JP, it's that Radwood era. I remember this car making a little cameo of itself in one of the Rocky movies. This would be a really fun car to be turned loose with for the afternoon. But much like a grandchild, it would be fun to give the car back at the end of the day and not have to take responsibility for it in any shape or form, legal or otherwise. So JP, here we go. It's on P-Car Market. I'm going to go ahead and say it right up front. Wrong platform for this car. Unless you're thinking like, I want 150 for it, but let me see if I can run it at auction. And if not, I'll unless the plan is to advertise it in the deal tank, I think this car should have been treated to better photography and put on, bring a trailer with better representation. I don't think P-Car Market is the right place to sell an obscure Lamborghini that's a gray market car to begin with. That is way too many hurdles to overcome for a car that has such limited, minute demand. There are maybe 6 people in the universe who are currently shopping for a Lamborghini Yelpa. So I don't think this car stands a chance. And yet the bid count, as we're talking about it, is way higher than I thought it would ever go. So JP, I sent it over to you. You and I collectively have been around almost every car that's ever been made. I can't say I know too much about these. I've never really sat in one or driven one or any of that sort of thing, but I've seen them in person. They are super exotic. This car must have looked like a UFO when it hit the streets in the 80s. You got excited when we picked it. Have you ever driven one? Have you ever known somebody that had one? Any hands-on experience with the very, very rare Lamborghini Yelpa?
I wish I had. I absolutely love the way these look. But this is one of those situations where you probably don't want to meet your hero. I like this car better than a Countach the way it looks. I really do. I know that might be blasphemy to some people, but I love that Targa top. But I just know this car is not going to live up to to the expectations. It's like that hot girl you knew in high school probably ain't so hot anymore. You finally get a shot at her and you're gonna get like Hep C or something. This car is just, all it's good to do is probably look at. I've been driving that Ferrari Dino 308 GT4, filming that car. That's a car that will be coming out on Bid Nerds for sale and Bring a Trailer soon.
Shout out to Daryl and Dean.
Yeah,
if you know,
buddy,
you know. If you know, you know.
Car is. We took some amazing footage of it over the weekend, so I'm really excited to share that with you guys. On paper, the two should be very similar, but I think someone commented that this car just looks like it's probably a gajillion pounds. I don't know how much these weigh, but I'm sure it weighs a lot more than the Dino does. Because the Dino just doesn't weigh anything. So I want to love this car, but I'm sure it's just pain. It's just nothing but pain on this one. And I don't know if I can afford it with all the tariffs. So what's it going to bring?
All right, JP, as we're looking at this car and you talk about how much you love it, and you and I are both saying, buyer beware, you don't want to be near this car. All I can hear is the Persian Pillow's voice in my head going, LS the world. Like, this car would be so amazing with, what is it, JP, an LS3?
Yeah.
Oh man, how could you imagine with a G50 and an
Or
LS3
that, or
in
the
this car?
powertrain, the E63 powertrain in this thing. Come
Yeah,
on,
yeah,
let's
yeah.
do
That'd be
this.
crazy. All right.
All right.
Okay, JP. According to our friends at classic.com, a Lamborghini Yelpa from 1984, actually all the Lamborghini Yelpas, on average sell for about $97,000. Our car is currently sitting at a respectable $72,500 on 5 bids. And that is the car closes tomorrow. So basically 16 hours from now, the hammer's going to fall. JP, I don't think that it will get to the average of 97, but I think $92,000 or 20 grand above where it's at right now, I think that's in play. Whether or not that gets the sale done is another thing entirely. I believe that the owner of this car, I just, in my heart of hearts, I think he's looking for 6 figures. And if the hammer falls at 92, then they're going to have to get on the phone and negotiate. PCAR Market's not going to bridge that gap and donate from their buyer's fee. So I think it's an FTS at my number is what I'm trying to say. But 92, John, I'm eternally optimistic. Did you mention that there was 2,900 points in the market today? So come on, man, 92,000. It's still an FTS, but that's a respectable number. And then I think you're close enough to negotiate if that's where the hammer falls. So JP, where are you at?
Yeah, I just don't see there being that many buyers here. I feel like the bids that are already there are kind of shill bids. I really wonder if any of those are legit, because that seems really high for PCAR Market. Like, you never see bids on PCAR Market until the last day at the last minute. I mean, you see stuff that, ultimately sells for $150,000, but the day before there's like 3 bids for $8,000. So I'm really skeptical about this one. Burnt oil's like, why on PCAR Market? Good ass question. We asked that about every single car that's on there. I don't think it gets anywhere near 90. I think, where'd you say it's at right now?
72.5 on 5 bids.
Yeah, I think his shill guys might spend a couple grand more. Let's go 80 grand and no, FTS for sure.
All right, there you go. So the big question then is what it winds up in the deal tank for. I'm guessing 120, 130,000, something in that range, but we shall see. JP, fun car from the outside. The color, we didn't talk about the interior. The interior doesn't offend me, like the shape and the design. It's all okay. But man, that eggnog color on the leather.
I mean, I think all that stuff about the car, I think the only question really is whether or not the market can bear it right now, and whether or not anyone's looking at PCAR Market. I think people are going to be, half the country is super optimistic. The other half of the country is freaking out. And that's not the same people from one day to the next. Like, Monday, half the people were freaking out and the other half were super happy. And then Tuesday it flipped this way, and then back to Wednesday it's like this way. It's just hot potato. And, the person that wants this, there's very few of those. So which day is the guy that actually wants this car? Is he going to be feeling like he needs to put a bullet in his head? Or is he going to be feeling like he's super euphoria and wants to go buy a horrible Lamborghini? Is there much difference than putting a bullet in your head and buying a Lamborghini of this era? I think that might be about the same thing, right?
Yeah, 6 of one, half dozen the other.
If you want to unalive yourself, that's the way to do it. And YouTube, we are not talking about the S word. This is just car jokes. Nobody, if you feel like you unalive yourself, call the 1-800 number. All right.
Jeff Rule is probably the most bearish on this car. He thinks from 72, it's only going to go to 76.5. If he's our winner, man, that is good predicting right there. All
right, we got to move on. We are way behind. Let's rip through some cars here really quick.
All right, JP, newest member of the Nerd Herd and super enthusiastic car fellow, Mikey V, has donated for us or submitted for us to take a look at this 1996 Ford Escort RS Cosworth Lux that is currently on Bring a Trailer. Our car is located in Statesville, North Carolina, and is showing 124,000 kilometers, which is close to 77,000 miles on the rolled odometer. The big news here, JP, this is a homologation special in order for Ford to race the Escort model in World Rally competition. In 1996, the basic formula was a 2-liter turbocharged all-wheel drive hot hatch, and Ford did really damn good with this platform. This car was very successful in competition. Hence, today, the homologation specials, by the way, never sold on our shores. This is a gray market car from overseas. These cars wind up being pretty collectible. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, despite us not having the chance to buy this car, I actually think this car would bring more money in Europe because they just know them better. And chances are it'd be easier to find a tech that knows his way around all of the special parts that make this car special. So JP, 2-liter turbocharged, makes about 230 horsepower, all-wheel drive, 5-speed, fancy body kit, wheels, all the nice stuff. Really cool car. Mikey knows this car personally. I believe Mikey was offered the car and passed on it. The car wound up in the hands of the Patina Group. They've taken these studio photos and brought it to market. So JP, not a lot of comps to go on. When I looked at comps for this car, every single comp I found for sales on this model over the last 3 years are all in euros, meaning all of the sales and the transactions have all happened overseas. There were no transactions in dollars. So it's really anyone's guess what this car will bring in the United States. With that being said, according to our friends at Classic.com, $79,000 is all it takes to get a Ford Escort RS Cosworth. That seems like a low number to me. I think this car, with the hot yellow and the fact that it's here in the States, I think it will do a little better than that. My bid is, and let me read it to you because I lost my place, $96,000. Our car is sitting at $69,900, and we're going to jump up to $96,000 at Hammer, where I believe it'll sell. So, JP, what do you think? And give me a number. I'm sorry, we're speeding this up.
Yeah. What was your number?
96, and it's at 69.
Yeah, I mean, look, this car doesn't appeal to me at all. I just don't. Ford of this era was not exactly, the fit and finish of anything with a Ford badge on it is pretty awful from this timeline. This is the Euro version, so I'm sure it's probably better and everything like that. But I think you really nailed it when you said it would be worth more if these were available here back in period. And just nobody knows what this is. So, when you buy something like this, you're buying it because, I mean, look, this is a show-off car, right? This is the kind of car you bring to Radwood or something like that. But that's a lot of money to show off to 4 people who actually know what it is. And that means it's going to be limited amounts of potential buyers. But I think those people that do like these really, really love them. And I'm not knocking the car. I think it's neat. It just doesn't do anything for me because, I didn't notice them back in period. So your number one more time, you said.
$96,000. And JP, before you give me a number, I just want to point to your attention. Boxed fender flares. Come on, man.
Yeah, with the vents and all that stuff. $96,000. I have zero idea. So I'm gonna go $75,000 and say it fails to sell.
Not bad, man.
Yeah. All right.
I will say this and just remind the herd. I would imagine a good portion of these cars that were built by Ford came right-hand drive. So to have one on our shores, titled in the United States and left-hand drive, I think is what gives this car a chance to get to JP's number and quite possibly up into the range where my number is at. So this will be interesting to watch. Thank you, Mikey V, for sending in your first car. JP, should we move?
Well, Zach says if this car showed up to Cars and Coffee, people would lose their minds. No, 4 people would lose their minds. 4, right? And one of them would be like, you can't park that there. That's why they'd be upset because they think you're...
That'd be you. Yeah, that'd be you. You're like, that's not air-cooled.
Get that thing out of here. A lot of people disagree with me. A lot of people are bidding up there at your number. Again, neat car, great, super, whatever. Who cares? Moving on. What's the next car?
Randy B gave us a bid of $99,000. Randy wants to
he's excited about this car. He likes it. This is right up his alley.
Randy B wants this car to be a card-carrying member of Group B. If you know, you know. All right, nice. JP, you selected for us this really cool 1963 Chevrolet Corvette Grand Sport. It's a super performance kit or build, I should say. 5-speed manual. The car is on P-Car Market, listed out of Irvine, California. Mileage shown is 2,100 miles, so presumably that's 2,100 miles since this car was basically reimagined by Superformance and turned into what you see here. It is a 1963 Corvette, but Superformance has essentially made it very, very evocative of the one of 5 Grand Sports that Corvette Skunkworks made to go racing before the executives at Corvette killed the racing program. So the real ones of these cars, JP, are legendary, and I believe they trade for like $3 and $4 million when one of the 5 comes up for sale. But this is one of those cars that has been mimicked, kind of like people taking long hoods and making RS clones. Grand Sport clones are the common analogy with regards to the Corvette Club. So our car, JP, benefits from a big fat motor and a 5-speed transmission, a couple things that it did not have in period. A 358 cubic inch small block producing up to 600 horsepower through a Tremec 5-speed transmission. With a total weight of approximately 900 pounds less than a 63 production Corvette. So this car, JP, is just an absolute hooligan. We kind of beat this analogy to death, but Rami would love to drive this car. It would be absolutely insane. It would be fun to drive near this car and listen to that V8 scream. But somehow, JP, too many colors, too many shiny wheels. This car is just... And I hate to say this because I think that the C2 Corvette is a gorgeous car. I think it's the most collectible and beautiful of the Corvettes. But this build is, I'm going to say, pretentious, which is kind of ridiculous because I love it when people do all this happy horse shit to a Porsche. But on the Corvette, it just looks like it's trying way too hard. And so anyways, no love for it. JP, according to our friends at classic.com, let me give it to you real quick. Chevrolet Corvette, so a real 63 modified Corvette, they have a modified thing, is $242,000. Our car on PCAR Market is sitting at $25,000 on one bid, and it closes 2 days from now. John, I'm not even sure this car will make my bid at $85,000. So tell us what you liked about it when you picked it, and then let's jump into some numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I was conceived in a 63 Corvette. I don't know for sure, but I got some pictures of my parents looking pretty cool driving around my dad's Vet back in the day. His was convertible, of course. I really don't know anything about these. I just saw the picture, and this is one of those situations where, photo assets get your attention. This car really has a lot of eyeball. I love liveries. I love meatballs. But I'm with you, Deep. I feel like they went a little overboard. They need to tone it, pick a lane. The polished wheels and the stripes and when you look at the stripes and the meatball, how do I do this? There's a gray pinstripe around all of the stripes. So there's an accent color, and that is just a terrible sensibility on this type of car. I just don't think that works. I think a white meatball with no accent line around it would pop. Whereas with that accent line around it, it just looks odd. And it doesn't match. You've got chrome on the rocker panels. You've got polished, but not, it's almost brushed aluminum, but kind of the wheels are too shiny. Again, pick a lane. Are you going shiny or are you going matte? What's it going to be? And I think if all of the trim were not necessarily matte, but just, brushed instead of polished, it would look a million times better. And this car needs to, talk about 4x4 status. Guy, bring this thing down and it would look really cool. I think old vet 60s and 70s vets are kind of having a moment, and I think it's a direct result of Porsche's, old 911s just being too damn much money. And you can go out and get one of these darn old Corvettes and kind of, the pearl clutchers are all dead now. The guy that's worried that your 70s Corvette isn't stock, well, he's in the old folks home or he's, 6 feet under at this point. So the young guys are getting into them and hacking them up and making them pretty cool. But what was your number?
Oh boy, 85,000. And I'm not confident it'll get there because it's sitting at 25 and it's got 2 days to go.
Yeah, I'm going to go 55 grand FTS. No way it makes it anywhere near what it's worth.
Okay, so there you go, JP. I'm with you on all the things you said. Did you notice the silhouette of the meatball in the white stripe on the hood, on the nose of the car?
Yeah, it's too much, guy. It's too much. Dial it back. Yeah. Dial it back. All right, what else we got?
All right, JP, here's a fun one. This is a custom 1972 Porsche 914 Speedster 1.7.
Speed it up, bro.
Yeah, so JP, this car is running no reserve. 2 days to go, running no reserve out of Tucson, Arizona on Bring a Trailer. JP, I had never seen a Speedster before, but you said in the 80s this was certainly common, especially on the West Coast out in California. So my whole thing with this car is the unfortunate color of the donor car. But again, it's running no reserve. JP, according to Classic.com, a 72 1.7 914.4 is $26,000. Our car is sitting at just $2,700, and it closes in 2 days. My bid, JP, is $9,140. You see what I did there? What's your bid?
I did. Someone's buying this car tomorrow.
2 days.
2 days. Sorry. Someone's going to buy this car in 2 days for, I'm going to say, $4,914. Nobody wants this thing. There's nothing. I mean, the motor's too small. The color's terrible. The top's been chopped up. I mean, there's no way to bring this. It's just never going to be cost effective to bring this back. It's just, it's an art car. It's ironic, basically, at this point. This would be a fun thing to just bump around and maybe blow up or something like that. Or make this a safari. How cool is this? Would be a cool safari, right? Because who cares if it breaks down in the desert or on some dirt mud road? Just leave it there. Some guys in a Jeep will show up and shoot it with guns.
Set it on fire and walk away.
Yeah. How much time we got? All right. Yeah, that's it, guys. All right. Thanks for hanging out. That is another Bid Nerds. We will be back Sunday night. Good luck with the markets, guys, and happy bidding. And again, if you are looking to sell your car on an auction, give the Bid Nerds a call and we will help you out. See you guys Sunday night. Bye. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds